right, guys. Hello, guys. We are here. It's my first podcast, so I'm not a YouTuber or anything, but I have met a fantastic person, Bruno Brugnano, who in composer world must be a superstar. He has multiple decades of experience. He's working with amazing people. I will let him talk about his achievements. He's a multi-award winner composer. He has an amazing life story, which I was so lucky to hear about it. I this is what I can tell about because there's so much to say about this person. He's amazing, and I let him introduce himself. And the podcast today is going to be about like a Christmas present, as you can see in the background.
Yes.
We will get the Christmas present from him, where he will share his experiences and give us advices, composers like me or you or beginners or intermediate composers, what to do and what not to do in order to be successful in this career. So, welcome, Bruno. Thank you very much for
Oh,
joining me
thank you
in
so
this
much, Tom.
call.
I'm so happy to have a chance to talk to you and to your fans, and I'm really honored to that. I'm in Bangkok, so we are on the opposite side of the world, and but I'm originally from Italy. I'm from Milano, but I left about 32 years ago, Italy, and I moved to the States to study, and from there, I was touring with the band, and end up to be in Asia and different places, Hong Kong, Singapore, but then I end up to be in Bangkok, which I've been living for the past 30 years. And Bangkok is a good place where because it's a huge city, it's a I think 15 million, probably 16 million, I don't know many, but there is a lot of it's like in the middle of Asia. I mean, basically, and so there is like a lot of influence from all over. There's people from and there is a really good place for post production. He's probably the most advanced. Uh, it's a post production in this part of the world. The studios and the because Thailand is a place where they're filming a lot of movies, right? From Rambo's and all this,
Hmm.
when they're like exotic place, all the Vietnam movies and stuff. So it's been through the years a place where you know a lot of movies been done. So also the post production in Thailand is very high level, and so I just end up to be here, and then I started, I because if I go back in time, I was telling you yesterday that I started recording when I was 16. I mean, my first album I was 18 back in Italy. I was a session player, I'm a guitar player, and it was during the end of the 70s, and so there was a lot of like disco music was very popular in Italy, and so I was into like funk and disco and all this stuff. So I was very good rhythm player. So I was doing a lot of recording, a lot of I was being called for do a lot of this stuff. But anyway, then I had a chance to, uh, of course, I start with rock and everything, like probably every kids does. But I don't know. When I was 15, 16, I kind of switched to jazz, and I told my bands that they were like a play, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, this stuff. I said, okay, I don't know what is jazz, but I'm gonna play jazz from now on, and say you crazy, you don't, it's so deep, you don't what it is, jazz, don't, never heard about. Anyway, so I sold all my albums, my rock albums, stupid, I wish I wouldn't do that, but I started to buy all these jazz album and all the weird jazz. It was like avant-garde, free jazz, and I was 15, 16, so I started to kind of follow the movement, all this avant-garde, and I was thinking I couldn't understand anything about what the music was about, but I felt it was something then, and then I thought like if I lose my virginity, my ears virginity in this kind of thing, in the future, anything gonna be everything is gonna be so easy. Everything is gonna be, everything
Yeah,
I
it's
listen. I
logical.
was
It's
listening to people
absolutely
like
logical.
Ornette Coleman. I was listening like people like Art Ensemble of Chicago. You know, it's like a very, very, Sam Rivers, all these very heavy jazz cat. I used to go to the concert, and sometimes I fell asleep. See concert. Anthony Braxton was like only, uh, was it well, like a tuba? I don't know what he was like, what he was playing. Just like 3 hours of this crazy. Anyway, but so then I start to study, seriously about jazz, and I got to study with one of my most famous, I think the most famous jazz teacher in Italy who passed away, Filippo Dacco, and it was really kind of advanced study, and there was a lot of harmony, which is something that I suggest, even if you don't like jazz, but is an advantage sometimes. It's like also classical, what I'm saying, but a jazz, especially jazz, the harmony in jazz, it will give you the ability to kind of handle this. What maybe we talk later, the versatility when you work. The thing is, you have a job that my latest job that I just finished, there was a lot of jazz. Is a movie shooting in the Caribbean, but there was a lot of like Billie Holiday music, and I mean the director wants that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nice because I can handle. I mean, this what my background is, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to search. And or I just there's another movie, there's a on Netflix now. It's everywhere in the world. It's called Father Christmas is Back.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. It's been top like 10 and everywhere in the world, and with a lot of famous actors. And same thing, there was a lot of kind of like a jazzy harmony. Anyway, so I start to study jazz, quite seriously, and I harmony and composition stuff like that. And then I had a chance to study at Berkeley. In Italy, we had a Berkeley in the summer. There's a very famous jazz festival. It's called Umbria Jazz,
Mm-hmm.
and the Berkeley used to do like a summer session there, like you can attend to concert, but also attending to all these classes with very famous teacher. I had like John Damon, which is one of the greatest teacher in Berkeley, and I was like, so I thought like this. It really fit my way of learning. It was like very understandable for me. So, and of course, the life when I did a lot of the stuff in the meantime. But one day I decided that I had enough, and I want to move to the States and really learn directly from the masters. But I couldn't speak English. I was telling you yesterday. So
Amazing.
when
I
I arrived
mean,
in Los
and that's
Angeles, arriving
amazing.
in Los Angeles, actually I also had a broken heart. I was like just going through a big broken heart. So I was broken heart, couldn't speak English. So I arrived in Los Angeles at night. I didn't know where to go, and I just took the shuttle, and I went to Hollywood, and then I cried for 2 days. And I was in this hotel, and but it's amazing because what happened. Um, the morning I woke up, and there was like a beautiful music was playing in the lobby of the hotel, like a jazz. So I went down. There was like this lady, this girl playing piano. It was amazing. A double bass player. So I tried to explain to them, with my broken English. Actually, I couldn't speak English at all. I mean, and then I said, "Can I sit?" I said, "Sure, sit." So I was there, and they were amazing. They were playing. And then they invited me at night to Catalina, which is the most famous jazz club in Los Angeles. And I didn't know anything. So I went there, and she was like playing with the top music. She was like Renee Rosnes, one of the top piano players. She played with One
Oh.
Short. I played with I didn't know anything. But anyway, this was my first encounter in Los Angeles, and I thought like, well, it was a sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started MI, a Musician Institute. And the first 6 months, it was a disaster. I mean, it was a disaster. I could understand music, but it was hard to communicate, right? But I studied with a lot of good teachers. I have my private teacher was Norman Brown. I have, Scott Anderson, Joe DiOrio, all these, heavy players.
Yeah.
There was the time Jennifer Button who played with Michael Jackson, and Paul, what is it? Paul Gilbert. There was like so many. Yeah, I
Wow.
even forgot. I mean, but at the same time, it was. I mean, I really, I I start to, it's funny enough, of course I finished the money after a little bit. The only thing I could do to make money was cooking. So I become like a, I start working in a restaurant because they were looking for a chef. I told, yeah, I'm a chef. I never, I cook for my friends and I
Yeah.
never, but after 1 month, I have Los Angeles Times came do an article about me, and there was a new chef in town, blah, blah, blah. And I cook for Sylvester Stallone, I cook for Van Halen. Van Halen came in the kitchen. He said, "Who's Bruno, the cook guitar player?" They thought that I was a guitar player, but and then, so we went outside. I said, "What are you doing here?" I'm here studying. But I need money, so no, just to tell you, what the passion of music. I could stay in Italy and have a easy life, right? But I
Yeah.
decided to do it the hardest way. Anyway, so and then I collect. I knew that you need a gear to. In that time, I'm talking about in the 90s. It was 91, 92. You need a gear to kind of like reach the level of a good gigs, right? So I
Hmm.
bought this big refrigerator of rack of stuff.
Yeah.
I was like a Mac Landau kind of, I have like this stereo system, Mesa Boogie, all this stuff. And then, I that time there was like a service in Los Angeles where you can call. There was no internet, of course, right? So you can pay a little month this service, and there was like on the phone you'll hear, there's a gig in Las Vegas. They're looking for guitar player, blah blah. There's a gig here and there, and then there was a gig to come in Asia, in Hong Kong and Beijing, and so why not? So I went to do the audition. So I did the audition and I got the job and but I have to also learn to dance. I went to do like a ballet class, because part of the show was also like drop the guitar and start dancing. It was crazy. I mean, but anyway, so all this time that's why I end up to be in Asia basically. Then I came here and I met my wife, my what is my wife now, and I started because I started working on the recording industry when I was very young. So when I was here, because Thailand is completely different, a different world, right? Like every other place in the world, you have your own tradition and the language is very hard because you have a tone. It's kind of like you have a tone in the language. So when you write melodies, sometimes you have to be careful because doesn't it doesn't match with the lyric. Like if the same word with a different accent,
Hmm.
it has a different meaning.
Hmm.
So it was, so I started work for the biggest record company in Thailand. It's called JMM Grammy, and it probably is the biggest one in this part of. It was like 5,000 employees. I mean, it's huge.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, it's one of the biggest in Asia. I mean, like in this part of Asia, South Asia, and I'm talking about that time, where really when you can sell the albums, if you sell 100,000 copy, there was no chance that you do a second album. I mean,
Hmm.
it was very little sell, like, I mean, I'm talking about 100,000 now, I don't know, they give you a platinum album, I don't know,
Yeah.
but that time it was like, oh man, sorry, you know, it's not enough, we're talking about millions copy, the type of cassette. We had like was a cassette and then CD after that. But anyway, I started working. So the first year I started working and submit songs, and I have most of my stuff was like doing a lot of fusion music. I was into fusion and stuff. So but I think I always have a sense of melody, right? Because I'm Italian. I grew up with with a part of the genetic, I think, of Italians. So I started, and in 1 year, and I think one song only been accepted,
Hmm.
and then two song, and the song that I did became kind of like a promotion song. They did a music video for that, so it was a big rock band, and I started to be popular. So after that, I did an instrumental album. I did like all the very famous Thai songs, but arranged it in a jazzy way, like
Hmm.
and all these albums actually being used by Thai Airways before the flight take off. They always play this music, I mean, I found out years later. But anyway, so I from there, I started working, and then I was the only one of the only foreigner, doing this in this country,
Hmm.
and
Do
and
you speak
then
the language already?
A bit, yeah. I mean, I've been, but not as much I should, because everybody I work with is we speaks English mostly. But of course, I say I start writing Thai songs, right? So and then I start to get popular. So I wrote many songs, and some become number one in in the top chart, and I end up to produce and write more than 100 albums. You know, for
That's
all
amazing.
the for all the superstar in Thailand I work on. Until I like about we say 15 years ago, I thought that the music, the pop music, the market was going down when the internet started to kick off. And I knew that but at the same time because I was told tell you yesterday when I started in studio since it from Italy and um, that we are recording on tape analog. They like it to
Yeah.
record tapes. It was but when I don't remember now what program was. I the first very soft synth that had come out. I forgot what it was, but there was a software that actually could make sounds because we used to buy all this out gear, like most of the time it was a sound canvas. We had Pro Tools and all
Mm-hmm.
these, sound from the keyboards and then Akai S2000, which it was only I think how many megabyte of RAM. I don't know. It was great. Actually, I started with Atari. It was only 1 megabyte of memory with a diskette, you know. And I was actually I did so
With a
many
floppy
albums.
disk.
It was a floppy disk, only one. Everything was on the floppy disk. And with that, I did so many albums. Actually,
Hmm.
the software that we were using the time, most of the studio was Voyetra, which was a DOS program. You had to actually put DOS information to get out of music. It was crazy. And then there was but I started with the Cubase, which I'm using now. But there was a Cubase, which very early, you know, talking about 90s. So it was like and anyway, but I did a lot of albums. So you go in studio and they will start to have a sample. So you have some libraries and start to work. So I just say that it's very useful to kind of now not relying only on the sound they already done. Like what normally do now. People download software stuff, but it kind of like be creative, right? So you
Absolutely.
you actually have to create your own thing, because you have to find a way, you know, using live musicians or creating stuff like you cannot find in the you have in your mind, but you can. So and this way, I mean, I start to be create my own world, and I never care about what was in Thailand. I always tell everybody it just happened to be in Thailand, but could be in New York, could be in Los Angeles, could be anywhere. My attitude was exactly the same. I work like a monk. I mean, I was, and I still now, 11 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, every single day. I've been doing this for 30 years, you know, and I
Work
handle
hard,
like
right?
3, 4 projects at the same time, 3 albums and now 2, 3 movies for movies, whatever. But the thing is like, okay, learning like in the analog period, era, which is, like I say, give you a little bit. And, back in Italy, I was the time where, the arranger come to the studio, they give you the chart and you got to play. If you're not able to play, you are not able to play, they will never call you again,
Yeah.
you know. And one
The
time I
sheet
almost
music, you mean, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was the time where everything was recorded live on tape.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to know your stuff. Otherwise, they will never call you. They got no time to lose, right? So I learned from the time. I mean, now you have all. You can do overdub. You can replace everything wherever you
Right.
want, and it's perfect. But you say so. There is advantage. The disadvantage that I'm old, but the advantage is that I was in the period where I saw all the revolution. Just say so when I saw the first software, synth soft. I
Mm-hmm.
thought like, okay, I'm not gonna buy hardware anymore. I know the future is gonna be just computer. And I accept like preamp or EQ stuff like that. I was was mixing in big Neve board, mostly Neve, and analog and everything. But I start to just basically start working on the new technology, which is game some and then I start to build my own little studio, and from there I start to build up. But I say after the last 15 years, I thought the pop music was was going to, it's not, I mean, it's not dying, of course, people doing, but making money as it used to be, what I mean, so
So is that when you
eh,
decided to turn to film composing or movie composing
yes, I mean,
100%?
I was actually, I had I always loved I always wrote, I through the years I wrote so many songs to be the main title of some movies or main title of some TV series, or and I wrote many. I won, was like number one in the chart for some, here very popular, probably like everywhere in the world, like a TV, the soap opera and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to have a song in the, like every single night playing the TV, is getting popular, right? So it earns a reputation also, right? So but I had the first kind of like a really offer was, I did a movie called Beautiful Boxer that you will find is a very very beautiful movie, and and it won many international prizes. This movie is called Beautiful Boxer, and I worked with this director, which is very quite famous here. It's called Lekachai, and anyway, from there, and then a second movie I did, it was a not same the same director. He asked me, Bruno, you want come, you want to work on this movie, and and I went to the post production uh, company, and they let me alone and said, just watch it and see what you think. If you like, you can score it.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched it, and I when I finished, I told him, say this movie will go to Cannes Festival for sure. Say, come on, we just do for it's no expectation, It's okay. Take your time. You wanna do it? Take your time. We'll do it. After 1 week, he called me, say, "Oh, yeah, we've been accepted to Cannes. Isn't in competition the movie?" So, like I said, and the movie was in competition to Cannes Festival,
Wow.
and so from there, I decide, and I was thinking today because you asked me what I should tell, you know, what is the secret? There's no secret, I say. But one thing that really helped me is I I read this book long time ago. It's a book from the 1920 something. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Think and Grow Rich
Uh-huh.
by oh, I will tell you in a second.
I
I
have
don't
seen
remember.
an advertisement about it. I think nowadays it's I got
It's very
maybe
popular. Huh?
Think and Grow Rich, right?
Yes, yes. And but there is a lot of all these people who are now doing the motivation speech and stuff. They all come from the book actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Robbins, all these people. But there was one guy is I can send you the link then if you want to share with your friend. And it's called like the biggest secret, And his name is man. Now I'm excited. I can't remember name people, but I can send the link. But basically is in 3 words. And I was thinking many times and it looks very simple, but it really worked for me. Since I start to apply this, he said we become what we think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we it looks like simple, but I say, oh yeah, it's of course it's not easy to actually put in practice. Because our thoughts sometimes is they bring us in different places. But really, like if you really dig deep into this meaning, for me, it changed so much my life. What I do, I just like I say, in my pocket, I have this paper. You see,
Wow.
this paper I do is always in my pocket. I do at the beginning of the year, and I write down what I want what I want to happen this year,
Mm-hmm.
how much money I want to make, what kind of job I want to do, and blah blah blah. And it's always in my pocket. Every time I touch my pocket, I remember, I just get focused. I mean, it works for me. I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe it looks stupid for other people,
No,
but it's
I
just,
saw a lot of things like that
it's
actually.
it's something that I've been focused. I picture myself to be. When I start doing the movie, I decide, okay, this is what I want to do. And the same year, when I switched and there was a time where it started to be, the pop music, all this market was going bad, because there was a lot of piracy, especially this part of the war. I mean, Thailand, happened that I did an album and there was already on sale on the black market, and it's still in my computer, no release. I don't know how, you know, it was just like
Wow.
exchanging
Yeah.
exchanging to executive and stuff, and somebody took it. I don't know. Just say it was like there was no point to, and beside that, for me, it's always been the music part has always been the easy part.
Hmm.
It's no problem, because like I said, now we have technology. You can take to do a piece like a 1 hour, but you can take, we'll say, if you don't have pressure, if you don't do without pressure, you can take 10 days to do the same piece. In one way or another, you're gonna do something, right? You're gonna, you have the tools to create
Yeah,
nowadays, right?
absolutely.
It just say it's not like before. You go in studio, there's a music chart in front of you, you have to play it, and then this the only chance that you have. If you can't play it, nobody called you.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's completely different. So no, but the pressure is the only pressure you have is the one that because the production and everything. But if you work and hard enough, you can learn your tools. If it first time you take 10 hours, second time 9 hours, yeah, then you can do an hour. It's just like I don't have the luxury now to do stuff. I was telling you yesterday. I did the movies in a week. In a
Hmm.
week, the whole movie from beginning to the end and mixing around.
Hmm.
And then I'm working now on a big animation movie for Hollywood, and it's been 8 months. It's still not finished. It depend on the project, right? But if somebody asks me, Bruno, I need next week, I will do it. It happened.
You are able,
I,
right? So.
I'm able to do it. I'm able to do it because I did many times. But anyway, so come back to say we think we become what we think about it is that year I decided to do movies, and I think I did three movies just came out of nowhere. It's just like it's like you put out of the universe, kind of like universe knows that
Hmm.
you are ready to, and the vibes, you have, okay, you have to have a good attitude. Luckily, I built my reputation a bit, so I had a name, but not for movies. I had a name mostly for to be a pop composer, and
Yeah.
but so one of the movie that I did end up to be selected also Venice Festival. He actually won the prize, the director, for something, and another movie was also you know some other award or whatever. But it just happened out of magic, just, and then from there, it just kind of start to build up the thing, reputation, and in this field, um, people always looking for the new thing, like the new guy, the new,
Hmm.
who has something to, kind of. So I was like the new guy, in town, doing this, and so I start working from there, and on my IMDb, I don't know, is maybe 40 movies, but actually I did 100, because
Hmm.
many of the movies that are not mentioned and they didn't do or whatever, but and I've been, even now, I mean, the last 2 years with the COVID, I've been lucky. I've been last year 10 movies, and this year I've been already six, and beside the work that I'm doing all the time. But yeah, I will say the secret is in you. Is in you. It's really, I don't believe in sending demos to produce product. It never worked for me. I mean, I like I say, everything I say is word for me. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's, but it's kind of like a another way. This part of the world, um, it's hard to have an agent, and because when the agent to present to the company or whatever, they got scared. The people, kind of like they much prefer to deal directly with you.
Directly, right.
You know, and I mean, if you're in Hollywood, maybe I don't know other places is So for me, it's been always like a direct contact with directors, or but again, and also with some director there's a deep connection, with some not. It just happens sometimes. I don't say that you do your best work, because to be a professional, I always say that of course, sometimes you have to accept job that are very low budget, and I don't mind to do that, if the movie is good, or I feel like they kind of need help. And I also told yesterday that I'm able to do everything, and I can produce a movie from my studio to directly to the cinema. I can do, you know, editing dialogues, editing, I do foley, I do sound design, do the score, do also editing the movie. I can also do editing and mixing around, and then I did many movies also, maybe
So this
15
is
movies directly.
basically about giving a good service, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, to stand out from the crowd, as you said, in the world now, everybody is able to do anything, right? I mean, the opportunity is there to download any instruments or sounds or whatever. So the possibility for learning music, which should never stop, in my opinion,
Yeah.
at least for me,
Exactly. Exactly.
uh, is there. So you can learn music. So basically, we get to the point where when somebody gets this magical opportunity, as you did, you have to be able to deliver, and you have to be
Yes.
able to
But
give as
also,
much as possible, right?
also is an advantage, because you can you know accepting job from variety of source. Like if you do a job where it's a big production, where you do the score, like and it's fine, and which most of the time I do, do the score, and then other people take care of the rest. But like I say, if I had to, if you're a small company who has like an indie movie, who, they're really looking for someone who can help in anywhere, because the budget is limited. In the end, actually, even the small budget is quite big, because it's share with nobody. It's like you do everything by yourself, right? So it's acceptable anyway. You can,
Mm-hmm.
I mean. So it's just like it's also an opportunity for the composer to have a more, spread their you know spread the word. It's not good sometimes they think like you cheap, which is not, it's not good. But it is, the people say, oh, Bruno, ask Bruno, he will do for. It's not, I mean, I don't do for cheap money. But
Mm-hmm.
I can say, if it's a good cause, if this movie will lead to something else, there's a lot of factor. If I see, like, if this movie maybe is the beginning of, like I said, that's what I suggest some people, try to, a friend filmmaker, there's a lot of school where, they do a new, there's so many stories of composers start with a young filmmaker, and then they just go along until, there was an example uh, what do you call, the Black Panther, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gorens Berenson, the Swedish composer. He was his roommate. He was a guy, his roommate. They started with a short movie. In high school. He was in school, and they met. And I mean, story like that. There's so many. And so I suggest, start to get friend with some filmmaker. Like a young filmmaker, even if it is no budget at the minute. But my other, what you said, the other thing that I really believe, when you put your name on the picture, because we cannot put the name, oh, music by Bruno Brugnano. Sorry, the music is not good, because I got paid very little. You cannot buy that.
No, you.
So you just
I believe we always have to give our best to whatever we are doing.
so even
Always
if
the
the
best.
movie is cheap, or it's a lot, uh, I will say maybe be careful to do sometime movie that really that not that cheap production, because some cheap production can be also a good story, but it's a movie that has a potential. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think that what I did. I always kind of give a try a new filmmaker that say come to me. 90% they come to me say, Bruno, you're the best, but we are got not much budget for the music, because they spend everything, especially if you're a young director, they maybe no experience spending this and that. And when it comes to music, which is something that can make the movie good or bad, the music, you have a great picture by bad music, it will destroy the movie, right? Or the example, I give another example. I did I did a movie. The movie was okay. I mean, it was kind of epic movie. I think it was, but so one day I was like, sometimes you kind of do private projection the movie. You show the movie to buyer or whatever. So I was in the post production company, and they
Hmm.
were showing the movie. There was a two guy looking the movie, and there was the producer there, and then finished the movie. They went out, they were start talking, and then they left. So I asked the producer, so they liked the movie. Said no, they didn't like the movie. So not they're not gonna buy it.
Hmm.
And anyway, after a while, one of the guy went out, came back and say, "I'm sorry, I forgot. By the way, the music was great." So, but but I felt nothing, because it doesn't mean anything. If you do great music in a bad movies, it's a waste. Anyway, you won't really the two things really connect together. You know what I mean? Because so
Yeah.
when the thing connect together, this is where you move forward. So if you like enough to find the right movie and to find the right person, like I say, sometimes works, sometimes don't. I have some director that I work very well, some director that I did a good job, I think, but I always give my best, doesn't matter what. But there was no communication. The communication, like I say, the music is the easy part. Is deal with the rest is hard. But I learned this because I work with superstars.
Hmm.
I work with so many superstars that I most of this the these people that come to my studio, I you have to and beside that, I was telling you yesterday, I was working with the first daughter of the king on Thailand. I was the royal composer for 4 years, right? So,
That's
and I was telling
unbelievable.
you, there was like, I was for 4 years the first prince, the first daughter of the king. And the king in Thailand is the biggest thing, when you go see a movie in cinema, you have to stand up for the royal anthem, which I did also. The royal anthem in cinema, every cinema in Thailand. Been playing like 1,000 times a day, right? If I get royalties on that, I was millionaire. But it's like being like last 4 years only my,
Not too many
my.
people can say that they wrote the royal anthem for a
Yeah,
country.
I mean,
So
is I arrange it. I arrange it. The royal anthem has been brought written a long time ago, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all my arrangement,
I'm
and
sorry.
I'm going to do the new one now. And anyway, but so I start work with the princess, and the princess, if you're not in Thailand, it's very hard to. There's nothing else in the world, I believe. The king in Thailand is at the god level, you know, and especially the king that we have, he passed away. Now his son is the king, but the king when I was working with with his daughter was a King Rama IX, which has been the best king ever in Thailand, and is being considered by when I work, I had to work on my I cannot stand up. I had to work on my knees. When she come to my house, nobody can stand up. Everybody had to be on the knees.
Hmm.
You know, and there's a picture somewhere there, and then from the palace to my house, there was like a caravan of car, motorcycle, and police every 30 meter. All the street of Bangkok blocked to let the caravan pass to come to my house. And then she come to my house. We stay until 3 in the morning. We talk about everything. When we close the door, police full of police outside, and bodyguards and stuff. But when we work, it's only me and her. We was like in this small studio, and so I did two movies for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she loved like sing, and she was really like an artist, and she grew up in America also, so it's very westernized, mind. So anyway, I just say you cannot touch, you cannot, it's very hard to do. I can, it's the music was the easy part. It's the rest. Sometimes the day after they call me, Bruno, don't say that, don't do that, don't do this,
Uh-huh.
because it's not her. It was all the rest, bodyguard, and
Yeah.
so you have to be careful. So just say this one example, but like I say, singers and actors, and so you have to. So to be a composer, it's not just like just write the music, which is, I mean, it's hard enough, I think, but it's nothing compared to the other part is very hard, is to get paid. Like to when it's time to get paid, probably everybody have this problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make deal, contracts, and make sure that where you deliver, they deliver in front some money, in front, the back,
So the
and then
business part you also need to
all
manage
the
very
business
well.
part, and
And the
if
person
it's
part, I
more,
mean
most
the
of the work is work for hire, movies,
yeah.
but you can get royalties with some companies, and I think I really, really, really suggest first. The best advice I can give you: keep your music for yourself always. Register your music, ASCAP, MI, whatever you want to. I'm
Yeah.
part of the Italian CIA society, but it's so important because as a musicians, we don't have retirement money, right? And these royalties are something that will support us when we get older. And I know for the enthusiasm to do things, sometimes you just do it, and don't think about the. Of course, the beginning probably you get it. When I did my first album, I was 17. The producer told me, "I'm gonna rip you off. I'm not gonna put your name. You have
Mm-hmm.
to, for few albums, will you are ghostwriter,
Yeah.
and then after you earn your place in this business, okay, maybe I consider to give you some credit, right?
Yeah.
And this is what it is, and so I just say that all the pop music that I did, there is a royalty. The only good thing about the company that I work, they really serious about that, and they, but the rest is a jungle, like the rest is so many things that I do, and sometimes it just, so it's like you say, you have a budget in front, sometimes is it's not enough, what I mean. So it's just
Yeah.
like I say, first thing, just if you're not, just register every song that you can, always, is very important, and then you can deal with that. And yeah, and, and then I like I say, the other suggestion that, one advice that I can give you is just like I say, like you said before, never stop to learn your you know
Craft.
your craft. Yeah, I mean, it's so important. I mean, is there's a part of my daily, and the enthusiasm you got. I think I lose my enthusiasm, I will stop working. I
Mm-hmm.
wake up in the morning and I still like, I'm ready to go. I mean, and yes, say like I say, things amazingly can happen, amazing things. Like I was telling you yesterday when we had a short conversation that one time there was I was like I was here my village here. I went out and the guard told me, okay, Bruno, stop the car 1 second. There was like shooting some movies, and I saw Kevin Bacon in front of my house shooting in Bangkok. They were shooting here in front of
It's
my street.
unbelievable.
It was like an action scene, like in front of my. I said, shit, there what I should score. I mean, I should be able to. to to know. And actually, the director that I knew the director. I scored a few movies for him. And but when it comes to that kind of level, I was always, oh, they're too good, like foreigner. I'm foreigner actually in Thailand, right? So,
Yeah.
but I would say, so what I can do. And then I heard like Steven Seagal was shooting a movie, and I would say, man, this it should be me, scoring this movie. I was thinking of myself, right?
Yeah.
And the thing, like we think, we become what we think about it. And I do a little, every morning when I wake up, I do a little meditation, right? And I do meditation before I start working, and kind of like try to clear my mind and focus and really what I want to achieve, And it's not just for the day, just in general, And then one day, so I was doing meditation. I received this call, and he said, "I'm Steven Seagal," and I thought it was a joke, right? But I remember his voice because I don't know, for some reason, many years ago when I saw Under Siege, or I don't know what movie, I had a feeling that one day I work for him. I don't know. Just say again, it's always come back. The thing is, it's like you project yourself in something that and you think they will believe and that will happen and happen. And he told me like, Bruno, I would like you to score my next movie. And I said, really? Sorry. And I didn't know who gave my number. I didn't know where this came from. I mean, he just called me, and then we start. So he asked me. He was in some hotel in Bangkok, so I went to visit him. He's huge. He's like,
Yeah.
let's take a picture. So I told him I could sit down. I'm very short, and so I look like I mean, a midget, man. Anyway, but it was very kind. Everybody told me, "Oh man, it's very hard to work with him. He's a musician. He's a great musician.
Oh,
He's a
I
great
didn't know that, to be
player.
honest.
Yeah, he's
I
on.
didn't know.
Yeah, he has a lot of albums out. Blues, you can
Really?
check on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a great singer and blues player. He's a collecting guitar and stuff. Anyway, and then he told me, I really want to have a Chinese score. I really want to have a Chinese, because it was a kung fu. It was a movie that he was very attached to. This movie is he wrote the script,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Attrition. And
Yeah, it's
then
on your IMDb page. I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, and it was like a come back to kung fu. I mean, he does is what is discipline? I forgot.
Taekwondo, I
Japanese.
think.
No, no, it's not
No?
taekwondo. It's Japanese. I forgot what his name. But anyway, no. Anyway, whatever it is. And anyway, so but he did really a kung fu movie. So he came back to he's very knowledge. I mean, he's a dangerous guy. I mean, he's
Yeah.
huge.
Nobody messes
Whatever
with
people
Steven Seagal,
say, he's
no matter
fair,
what.
man. He's forget about it. I mean, he's really he's a
Absolutely.
scary guy. He's a scary guy. Anyway, but so he told me, and I told him, and he said, I have a guy. He's from Hong Kong. I need to have like some Chinese instrument, right? By the time I did some kind of Chinese, because being this part of the world, I do a lot of. I think my specialty here is doing a lot of this kind of crossover music, East and West. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I had a
Yeah.
chance to do, a lot of project where I use like ethnic instrument, and it's now popular, to do, but I started like a long time ago. Anyway, so but he told me he really want to have a really Chinese score. So he knew someone in Hong Kong who was an Eru player, play Eru, a Chinese violin,
Oh
and he
yeah.
was like a world class player, blah blah blah. So he invited to come. So he came to Bangkok, and he was a phenomenal player, and also a composer of his own. Was a composer on his own, and a starting composer. And then finished the movie. I received a message from Steven. He told me, "Oh, this is the best score I ever done, I ever had in my movie." And blah, blah. I mean, he was very happy. And anyways, but this again to say how things are connected. The guy who played Aero in Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
he asked me to work in some of his production. He had this movie was coming up. It was like an animation movie, and I said sure. So and so we start working. The movie is called Nezha, Nezha, and then so it was hardest job. I mean, one of the hardest job ever, because
Hmm.
you need to speak Chinese to work with China, and he was the guy in front who was deal with them and everything, and he was like brief me, what to do and this and that. So
Yeah.
basically, it was me and him and writing, but we were doing like two movies at the same time. There was like a Jet of Fate, another movie. It's like same Chinese big movie also with a famous Hong Kong director, and so he was more concentrated on that, and I was kind of more doing the animation, which I did the music for both, but I did mostly for Asia. And there was like a pages of this is another thing that as a composer you have to forget your ego, just leave it outside the door. Is if you're not able to accept criticism, it's not the job for you. I mean, you got to absolutely, even if you spend a week to do like a 4 bar of music,
Yeah.
and you think that the best 4 bar of music in the world, and then the guy in the second says shit, you got to throw away.
Yeah.
There's no way you can try to convince them that they don't like what you can do. You have to do it again. And we had a pages, like 100 pages of review music. I don't know, every queue have like a 10 version of every queue. Like a me. And then when you do animation, you working basically with the basic animation is it's not finished the movie. You have like a shadow and
Yeah.
in shape and things moving around. So it's very hard to get the real feel of what's going on. Matter of fact, the other movie we were doing, Jet of Fate, it was like like the Chinese movie, The Fly and stuff like it was. And it's not my culture, So it was like I wasn't attached too much, because I see this. But when I saw the movie in cinema finish, I said, "Oh my God!" Like there's another tip that I say: never estimate until the movie is done.
Uh-huh.
Never judge what they're doing, because after the music there is a edit. The editing. Okay, they give you the editing, but the coloring, the CGI, the sound
Mm-hmm.
effect, the dialogue, clean up the dialogues, and the movie is completely another different thing. But come back to the animation. I so we finished after 7 months, 6 7 months, and the movie when come out, it beat every record in the history of China. It being the
Congratulations for
second
that.
movie
Again.
it being the second movie in the history in China. Uh, it got I think $100 million uh, box office,
Mm-hmm.
and big in the States, big everywhere. We've been, if you check in Asia, it's like a highest review for this movie. And in the IMDb, I'm just named as orchestrator, which is kind of not fair, but it's okay.
Mm.
Is but it's okay. It just opened up to help me to get this new movie that I'm doing now, where I'm composing, which is a very big movie also, and as a Hollywood production, but with a Chinese director. And then I'm about to kind of do the final editing and start recording the real orchestra and stuff. Even for Asia, we did recording orchestra in Hungary, like
Yeah.
your country, and it was great. And anyway, so it's like I say, one thing lead to another thing, and it's, people who really works in this field, they really care about credits. They really, check who did the music, who did that, and then it just like word of mouth, and especially maybe work in this part of the world. If you work in Hollywood, have an agent, probably you pitching here, pitching there. I don't do too much pitching, I
Mm-hmm.
tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The only pitching that I did was for China, and it doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I always feel like I see like sometimes all this competition, the Spitfire, whatever they do, which is
Yeah.
it's good, it's kind of I mean they try to help all this, but I don't think this uh, the way the actual business work for me. And I'm thinking this. It's just like I say, start from the bottom, but start to build a relation, very close relation with the guy. Even if he now
People
is not
skills, right?
famous, you never know.
Relationships.
You never know. Maybe in 2 3 years, maybe he just have a breakout. Have a movie that become ballistic. Who knows? And you give a shot. But in that thing, like I say, you're just thinking you get we get paid to do what we love to do, which is already a big thing, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's right.
I'm supporting my family through music with notes. It's just this already is a miracle, right? But just like even now, like I say, is the most uncertain job. Is like that you can do. I mean, this you have to be accepting the fact that maybe is a period in life that you're on the top and maybe you're on the bottom. It happened to me a million times, you know. And then, but you say if you focus, if you really, like I say, we believe, and you become what you think about it. If you really, it will come back, it will come back. You just don't give up in the moment that you think, of course, it's a lot of factor, the family. You have to have family support you. You have, if you have a relationship, your wife, your girlfriend, and but it's a job. Absolutely, is a 200% of the dedication to the cause. You know what I mean? If you
Hmm.
think, last time I did vacation, I mean, I didn't go back to Italy. I see my dad, my mom is 91, my mom 86. I didn't see for 5 years now.
Wow, that's a
You
big
know,
deal.
now with the COVID, it's hard to come back to us and everything. But what they do, But my dad, if you would like maybe to know my story before, there's a few podcasts that I did already, but there's also a TED Talk. There's
Hmm.
one TED Talk you can check on YouTube if you want to. I talk a little bit about the influence my dad did. He was a mandolin player, but it's an amazing story. But I just say, I had a support from them, 1,000,000%. And at the same time, it also gave me the strength to say, to show them that the decision to go away, far away from my family, there was it's not just to be, a hippie guy who want to travel the world. It's not that. Like
Yeah,
I say, for me, outside can be New York, or can be Bangkok, or can be any other city in the world. My attitude is exactly the same. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
never
I
change.
also
I
have
don't.
experience with that. You have to have you're carrying this with you. You can't change
Yeah,
because you're somewhere else, right?
you have to have this attitude, and this attitude, if you do the right way. But when I go out, sometimes people they take a picture of me because they say they think I'm not real. Because my friends, they don't think that I exist because they never see me. They never, I do gigs. I was telling you yesterday. I have a
Yeah.
jazz album out. Also, if he's interested, somebody, I have a Bangkok New Trio and Bangkok Next on Spotify or where all these Apples. There's very nice album. And so I when I go sometime, the only way I go out is to play gigs sometime.
Hmm.
But now with the COVID, is all dead. But yeah, this is the other thing. When I go out now is I want to play my own music. I don't want just to go. I want to try to make a little bit different. And otherwise I got so the way we got inspired now with the YouTube and everything. We got so many ways we can get inspired from all these amazing player. But as I say, the other tip that I want to give you is like I have a lot of friend musician. They hate Facebook. They hate all the social and stuff like that, which I understand. Can be distracting, and sometimes can be people judge you because how many like, how many heart they send you. But for me, it's been I use only Facebook for job basically. I don't
Hmm.
put anything. I don't put dishes. Picture of my
Hmm.
what I ate today, or you
Hmm.
know, what normally people do on Facebook. It's only about my work. And I was telling you, like, I don't know where. One of the things that I wrote on my paper that I told you here on my pocket last year,
Hmm.
say the last 2 years, I say I want to work mostly like from I want to work around with everybody around the world. I want them they know me, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And then I've been working only for production, U.S., England, whatever, and and I received this uh, message from a guy who a famous composer, and he did The Serpent. Is on Netflix, a great movie.
Wow, yeah.
And I mean, it was he needs some help with to connect with some of the Thai musician, the classical musician, and then he suggests to so Ron Howard, Ron Howard, is
Yeah.
one of the biggest director in the world. He's doing a movie now. So he gave to Benjamin Wolfish, which is a right hand of Hans Zimmer. Actually, if you look Wikipedia, is Hans Zimmer composed on that. But you know, Benjamin did like Blade Runner, did It, he did Mortal Kombat, million movies. So he searched, he sent me a messenger message, and he told me, "I'm Benjamin Whitfish, I'm composer, blah blah blah." So come on, man, I know everything about you.
You don't have to
Big,
introduce yourself.
you don't need to introduce me. I'm so honored. I mean, just so he needs some help, doing recording for this Ron Howard movie. So I organized for him like a Thai classical players, because it's a score where they introduced some of the is the story about 13 Life. The movie's called is about the kids trapped in the cave in the north of Thailand.
Yeah.
And
So,
he wants to do a score which is sound of Thailand, and then what I'm very, I would say, specialized. I've been doing for a long time. So we did a Zoom session. We're like he was there. Tell me what you want. I was directing the players. He was directing. And then I finished. I sent. We use Cubase, but we use the same program. I sent Cubase session, and it was done. So but and I mean, he worked with Hans Zimmer. I told, say hi to Hans Zimmer. So sure, I
oh
mean,
my God.
this, it's like it's like that. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, so don't underestimate the power of like media. I mean, the really, but just say, okay, you have to find, like if you're in Mexico, like if you can collect, many people want to have like a traditional instrument stuff, like maybe
Right.
use the fact that you are there, and use some of on your score, introduce some of these elements which is unique. It will absolutely, that's what you have to do. Everybody have like the same sound, or Spitfire,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and all orchestra tools, all this stuff that everybody use. But really, what makes different is your own thing. Really, that's what really start make people think, oh, it's different. You know what I mean? I did a project a few years ago. One of the biggest projects I did, it was for Indonesia. The biggest Buddhist temple in the world is called Borobudur in Java Island. It's an incredible place, really incredible. And I worked with this director from Austria, and he's very famous, Titus Lieber. And so I went there. I sampled like a gamelan orchestra. I had created my own library, right? And
Hmm.
then it was like 6 hours of music for this project. It's an interactive project where they sell only hard disk. You have to buy the hard disk. It's that big. So you
Wow.
put it on computer. It's really incredible project. And I've been working. I just finished a movie for Vietnam. They're gonna be a premiere. The premiere
Hmm.
being post for this February thing. And I did the biggest movie I ever done in Myanmar,
Hmm.
Burmese movie. I did a movie. It was a production between Thailand and Myanmar, with the biggest superstar in Myanmar. And the movie went ballistic. It went crazy. I went to the premiere, and it was like in the stadium. It was looked like a stadium. It was people like chanting like stadium. It was great. There was like the biggest actor and this movie I won the Oscar in Thailand. Best original song. Also, I beside the movie I also wrote 10 songs, and you can find it's called From Bangkok to Mandalay, and it's very nice story. And like I say, all this connection between Malaysia, all this country around, China now. I did a lot of movies by now,
This is the
and then
absolute
now,
international experience. You have a
yeah, it's good.
multicultural experience.
Yeah. But the thing is like now, I've been contacted by the director, who actually he works for Ridley Scott, but he's based in Singapore. So he will start his TV series, or is a horror TV series for Indonesia in April. So he asked me if I was interested. I had to read the script, and then, but just say then. This what is a word of mouth. It's just like I say, you put out there what you really want to do, but try to be as original as you can. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean, I'm just saying, it's not that to do be weird things. Okay, I think my strongest point for me is melodies. I think I can write strong melodies, and then like I say, I never care if I don't do the movie just to finish and get paid. I do movie to satisfy myself, and then of course the money come and it's another deal. But you have to do something. The first, you have to be the first one to judge it, to be the Now, for example, I'm doing this movie. It's kind of like Jurassic Park. It's the first movie in Thailand. They use also animator from Hollywood, and the
Uh-huh.
movie is between Thailand and China. And then and I did the Chinese version for China, and then there is international version which is completely different edit. So I'm using the music, re-edit the music. I'm working now, and uh, and I've been working like a, I could use what I've done before, but I think it's not fair. Even if I didn't get paid enough to redo another score, but I just say I don't mind, because again, my name is gonna be on it, and this movie will stay forever. Your name gonna be, who gonna see it. You know what I mean?
One of the
And
most beautiful things in making music is that sometimes we struggle, or I don't know, we're not satisfied with it or whatever. We say there's not enough, but once it's done, it's done, and it's there
yeah, when it's
forever.
done, it's done. And then another thing that I always, the respect that you have, especially I learned from pop music. When I was working with a superstar singer, maybe they do an album every 2 3 years, and for them is a big deal. You know what I mean? They do this album, and then they will promote the album. They will tour with the, do concert or whatever. For me, I finish this album, I will start another one. It's another
Hmm.
job, another
Yeah,
job. But for them, they will live long time with the product, and the product will tell them if they will continue the career or they will stop the career. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's a big responsibility. You know what I mean? Same thing with the movies and everything. You have to feel this responsibility when you work. It's not
absolutely.
just creating music. Some people come. I got contact with many people. My music sounds very cinematic. What you think I can do more? It's not that. Everybody can do cinematic music. It's no big deal. Is you really have to do something. Is a like one example is also working as before as a chef. Is a you do the best pizza in the world. Your owner tell you, okay, do this pizza, this is what I want, and do you the best pizza in the world, but he doesn't know how to sell this pizza, and
Hmm.
people not come to eat. It's not your fault, because the pizza is good, but they don't know how to sell. It's all connected. You know what I mean? It's the movie, the production, the P&A they call. Like when you do a movie, the money you spend on the budget for the movie, it costs exactly the same budget to promote.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
that's right.
If you spend 1 million, 1 million is for promotion.
Yeah,
Because otherwise nobody will know that. Just so it's our responsibility. So when you do a movie, you should never forget about that. But okay, if you're a beginner, like I say, find like your friends from school, find your friend from, or go to like a university and find, where the filmmakers do, and you say, yeah, you want some music, I will do. I mean, I can do. Another thing that I told, like, to practice, you just get like a trailer, or get a piece of music from internet, download a trailer, do a trailer. You know, a lot of people do library music, right? I have a few library music, some of my stuff. It's not something that I like, because library music is, I like to work for someone. It's like you cut the dress and for the mass, or you can cut the dress for one person,
yeah.
and this person will
That's
dress,
that's
just
that's
for
uh
him.
that's
You know what I mean?
beautiful
So,
when you're doing
yeah,
custom
it's not
things.
exactly when you do for this project. It's not like you do, but okay, it can be also. Now all these TV series they do. It's like a reality shows. They use all library music, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
they can, it helps too, but it's not something that for me to, I get inspired from seeing the picture, seeing the actors acting, their eyes, the way they're acting is. I spend so much time that I was telling yesterday that for this reason I sometimes I call the director, say, hey man, there's a mistake on the movie. You saw it, the editing is
Yeah.
mistake, because I saw million times. You know what I mean? Like this movie I just did. I just, there was something I think you can improve. And then because I can edit, so I send you the scene edit by me. They say, oh, you're right. So they do the movie that I'm doing now. I had to wait for the new cut. It was the final one they sent me, but after I suggest them to change something, they change it. So you just say you're part of this process, which is a beautiful actual collaboration with people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You just know, selfish. Just try to create. Okay, oh, this is good, and no, you're working for. You don't work for yourself. I mean, you please yourself, but you have to not forget that it's a big deal for somebody. It's a lot of money when you do movies. You know what I mean? And and
The
we are the
responsibility,
one,
yes.
I think, responsibility to make it the movie, elevate the movie, or or
Yeah.
make it. Many movies like a shit music, then the movie is unwatchable. Many,
Yeah, yeah. The music
yeah,
has to support the movie, has to
yeah,
add
exactly,
value to the movie, right?
exactly. And then the other thing you do is spotting. When you do spotting, and another thing that I suggested to do too, if you have a director, of course, if he has time to come and stay with you and spotting where the music goes, right? It's called spotting, right? And there are problems like everybody is a historical problem when they put like a temp music. One example, when I was doing the first movie that I did, they put Riki Sakamoto music. It was beautiful. I said, how I can beat that? And the
Mm-hmm.
director loved that piece of music. It was impossible to win. It took so long, man. It was like and then finally, I got it. And I thought like, wow, I think it's not gonna beat them, but I can compare now. Is good enough, and just say, okay, the 10 music. Sometimes if I know the director well, I tell, say, please don't put anything,
Yeah.
just blank, just put picture and dialogues,
Mm-hmm.
and then tell me, if you want the music, we can meet in my studio and tell me exactly what you want the music. Or you want me to do, I do the cue sheet list.
Mm-hmm.
This is very important to do. The cue sheet list, which is you have to do anyway. When the movie is finished, you have to do a cue sheet list to send to the production. When you
Mm-hmm.
send the movie to Netflix or whatever, to share the royalties, all this stuff
Yeah.
is in, they need to have that. So the cue sheets basically is like a when the said the scene start, which the time code will start and
Okay.
finish Q1, Q2, blah blah blah. So I prepare the cue sheet, so you have like it's kind of like you have your own map, through the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then you share, and then you send to the director, say what this is what I thought, maybe this scene I do romantic, this the theme music come here, then come back the theme music come back there, and there's gonna be tension. So I kind of explain with them, just writing emotion, what I'm gonna do, and then this way is, and so I have freedom to do. I just finished two movies now for Philip Martinez, and one movie is called uh, A Week in Paradise. It's gonna be out, I think, in Valentine's Day. I don't know if it's Netflix or something. But another movie is called 1 Year Off with a lot of other famous actors. And the same thing, I did, because one is he is shooting in the Caribbean. The editor is in England. I'm in Bangkok. So different timeline, he's. But the thing is, I was telling you yesterday, I don't need nobody to tell me, come on, Bruno, I need this music. The music is done before you ask me, always.
Yeah.
I always, I hate the people tell me, oh, you're late. I'm always on top. And like I said, I was doing 4 movies at this time. Of course, I don't try to tell them, because, they show, but I can handle it. There's no problem for me. And actually, I like, because I wake up, I do something. Then after a few hours, I do something else. And then after a few hours, I do something else. And kind of like my brain is already trained to do that. Some people say, how you can get idea every day? It just, for me, because it's one movie is completely different to another movie. So it's a complete different emotion. So it's easy for me to switch from one thing to
Different
another,
world, different
to
dimension, different
create,
emotion.
and but just
So,
say,
so,
yep,
if you would, sorry, it's just that I would listen to you 24 hours,
no,
seven
no,
days
please.
a
But
week.
if you finish, tell me,
It's
man.
just,
I told you yesterday, I'm always alone.
it's just,
When I start talking,
we are
I never stop.
close to the end. And
Yes,
I would like to talk with you more, and maybe I will come to you with questions particular to some projects, maybe, or how to do
yes,
things, and that would be wonderful if you could Give
Yes,
me
please.
advices and keep in
Yes.
touch. My what I'm asking you is so just to wrap the put the Christmas present to for the listeners into a
I mean,
decorative
I'm what
package.
I see. If anybody interested to send me their music, to have any advice, or to whatever they need from me, I will very happy to help. And you can reach my, maybe you want to post my email, and I will very happy to help you. If you, if you, if you just to listen what you do, maybe some advice or whatever. Just let me listen, share music with me. I'll be very happy. I'll be very happy to meet anybody, anyone who is doing what we do and we love, and then I don't know if you have a beautiful music. Who knows? Maybe one day we can also share some music together. Like if there's any chance, and opportunity, because like for example, the last movie I did, I needed songs, and I just there was a friend of mine. I asked him, and he sold 5 songs in the movie, and he's out of nowhere. So who knows? It's good to create this relationship, and sometimes something that I didn't think about it. Oh, I have a piece of music from Tom, and then I can submit to them, and who knows, what
Fantastic.
can happen. But I'm very open
Fantastic.
to have this friendship to continue for a long time with anybody.
That's
I'm
fantastic.
very, very thank you, and I wish you all the best, everybody. And then I hope this shit COVID go away soon.
Yeah.
And then you guys want to travel to Thailand, please contact me. Come here. It's a beautiful place. And then I will happy to meet you. If you ever come. And
Thank
anyway,
you very much, Bruno. This was a amazing, extremely inspiring story
really,
and
thank you.
advices, and I will write into the comments below the video the most important bullet points that you mentioned. So, but I recommend, guys, if anybody is still with us now, to watch every minute of this movie. I'm sure that I will rewatch it like 100 times
Oh,
and take the because for you, Bruno, you have been for almost 4 decades in this business. Some things for you
yes,
are just natural, but for us,
I know.
uh, we need to really have the click, as you're saying, and
We
also
become
the advices
think
about
about
the
it. Don't forget. Don't
meditation.
forget. Just just put your energy and your thoughts are out there. Will come 100%, 100%. Be positive. Don't be negative. And be humble. This is very important and everything. And
Fantastic advices.
I really thank you, and I'm so glad. And thank you, LinkedIn, to meet, because
Yeah,
sometime again we met through social, right? I
right.
always this, it's really amazing, open so many doors, and amazing. Really thank you again, Tom.
Thank you very
And
much.
happy, I wish everybody Merry Christmas, and then to your family and all the happiness, all the everything.
Merry
Okay.
Christmas and Happy New Year. And thank you very much.
Sawadee Cup. Take
Nice.
care.
See
Bye.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.